Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital recaps for Friday, November 21st. Reveal that Gio Palmieri, Giovanni Mazza and Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard talked, while Jason Morgan, Steve Burton grilled Britt Westburn, Kelly Thibaud. In the meantime, Cody Bell, Josh Kelly and Molly Lansing, Gavis, Kristen Vaganos danced. Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mansi, noticing their connection. While sitting with Sonny at the Metro Court, Gio shared that Dante Falconeri Dominic Zamprogna doesn't want him as his son. Sonny commended Gio for being honest about his involvement in the lab break-in, but Gio expressed regret that Dante had returned to his old view of him after he endangered Rocco Falconeri Fincar again. Sonny reassured him that once Rocco was back home, everything would settle down and Dante would come around. He attempted to explain that conflicts can arise between parents and children, but Gio replied that although he and Dante are biologically connected, that's their only bond. At the hospital, General Hospital recaps for Friday's show. Note that Brooklyn Quartermaine, Amanda Seton, was on a call with Tracy Quartermaine Jane Elliott, telling her that all was well and to enjoy her trip. However, after ending the call, she appeared upset. Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson came by to ask about Ned Quartermaine, Wally Kurth, and Brooke Lynn said he was doing fine, but she felt awful for not informing Tracy about his heart attack. Michael tried to comfort her, saying there was nothing Tracy could have done. He encouraged her to let her grandmother enjoy her vacation, but Brooke Lynn still felt guilty for lying to her grandmother. Michael observed that something was clearly troubling her, and Brooke Lynn confessed that her heart was aching over the recent fallout between Dante and Gio. She described how furious Dante had been and the way he had talked to Gio, sighing that she felt helpless. Michael shared that despite the difficulties he faced with his own father, he always had his mother's support, encouraging Brooke Lynn to reach out to Gio. She was worried about making a mistake and pushing him away, but Michael reassured her that she would find a way, then went to get her a smoothie from the cafeteria, came to the hospital looking for Michael and asked Brooke Lynn about Ned's condition. She provided him with a positive update and offered to relay a message to Michael if he preferred not to wait. However, Gio mentioned that Michael had told him he was needed, though he was uncertain why. "I think Michael meant that you were needed by me," Brooke Lynn sighed. Gio agreed to stay and listened as she clarified that Dante did not speak for her, and she completely understood that Gio never intended to hurt Rocco. Gio expressed that someone still got hurt, then realized that trying to do good and having things go wrong was similar to when she gave him up for adoption. Brooke Lynn reminded him that he had no way of knowing what Rocco would do, so he shouldn't blame himself. General Hospital recaps for November 21st indicate that as BLQ placed a comforting hand on his arm, she felt touched when he placed his hand on hers. She assured him that he did the right thing by being honest, and he replied, "Thanks, Mom," before giving her a grateful hug. Michael approached from behind and smiled at the heartwarming scene. This was a huge step for Gio to be able to acknowledge his birth mother. Michael knew he did the right thing by encouraging Brooke Lynn to talk to Gio. Harrison Chase, Josh Swick, visited Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grand, office to inform her that he could demonstrate that Michael's alibi was false. He explained further, if Jacinda Bracken, Paige Herschel was with a client the night Drew was shot. Alexis agreed until the detective mentioned that Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watros had told him Ezra Boyle Daniel Cosgrove was one of her clients. Nina would do anything to assist Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen, and she's lied before. However, Chase insisted that Ezra himself had mentioned Jacinda during their conversation at the bar after he had bought him a few drinks. Alexis valued his assistance but reminded Chase that he couldn't testify about this in court, and that Ezra and Jacinda would simply lie. He promised to find evidence himself by bringing Ezra in on solicitation charges and interrogating him to uncover the truth. Alexis cautioned him that undermining Michael's alibi doesn't necessarily benefit Willow's case and warned that he could be jeopardizing his life and career for no reason. But Chase remained resolute and stated, "Willow's freedom is worth it." Chase determined to not give up until he could find something he could bring to court to exonerate her. Across town, Molly and Christina were having drinks at the Brown Dog when Cody walked in, and Christina quickly asked him to join them. Molly thanked Cody again for saving her father in the woods and talked about how much Rick Lansing Rickhurst has changed since the incident. Christina watched nervously as Cody downplayed his heroism. When Jacinda arrived, Christina hurriedly excused herself to talk to Michael's new girlfriend at the bar. Jacinda asked about Charlie's, and Christina mentioned that the building had to be demolished, so they wouldn't be reopening. She then asked Jacinda to laugh as if she had just said something funny, giving Molly and Cody some time alone. At the table, things got a bit awkward when Cody commented on Jacinda's looks, but Molly quickly recovered and subtly remarked that sometimes you meet someone and realize there's something about them. When Cody asked how her research was going, Molly said she had moved on to country music, which she didn't know much about. As Cody began to explain the different genres, he suddenly pulled her up to dance to a song that started playing on the jukebox. It was awkward at first, but they soon found a rhythm and shared a close moment. Christina noticed and told Jacinda the two were into each other but hadn't figured it out yet. General Hospital recaps reveal that Britt gathered her thoughts and was about to attempt injecting her medication again when Jason knocked on her door. He was there to inform her that Rick had devised a new legal plan to assist Rocco by outsmarting Professor Henry Dalton, Daniel Goddard. After recalling Jen's Sidwell Carlo Rhoda shooting Dalton in front of her, Britt anxiously pondered what it could be. She felt relieved to learn that Danny Morgan Asher, Anton Eisen and Charlotte Cassadine Bluesy Burke were planning to turn themselves in to demonstrate that Dalton was framing Rocco, but she froze when Jason disclosed that the teens had taken the key to the lab from her, leaving her to wonder why she possessed a key to Dalton's lab. Britt attempted to push him out, but Jason insisted he was aware of Dalton's involvement in her work at the Five Poppies and that this connection had clearly persisted in Port Charles. Realizing she was in a precarious situation, he wanted to assist her, but he couldn't do so if she kept him uninformed. "If I tell you, I need to know you'd prioritize me," Britt pleaded desperately. "I need to be sure you're worth me risking my life." Unfortunately, before Jason could respond, he got a call from Sunny. Britt sighed and urged him to answer it. When Jason said he needed to deal with Sunny, a defeated Britt pushed him out of her room. He apologized regretfully before she slammed the door. Laura Collins' Jeannie Francis was shocked to discover Dalton's body in her car trunk and checked his pulse to confirm he was dead. Remembering how she had threatened the professor at the polling place, she attempted to call Kevin Collins, John Lindstrom, but realized he was in Dublin and couldn't assist. She then tried to reach Alexis but only got her voicemail. As her anxiety grew, Laura made another call, pleading for help and providing her location while waiting in the car. She panicked upon seeing Dalton's blood on her hand and jumped when Nathan West Ryan Peavy tapped on the window to check on her. Trying to stay calm, Laura said she was just stressed after the election and had a flat tire. When Nathan went to get the spare, Laura panicked and followed him. Just as Sunny arrived, Sunny volunteered to replace the tire, and Nathan mentioned that together they could do it quickly. But then the detective received a call and had to head to work. He offered to request backup, but Sunny reassured him that he could manage it. Once Nathan left, Sunny opened the trunk and saw the horrific sight. After contacting Jason to handle it, Sunny informed Laura that they needed to leave. Still feeling anxious, she was reluctant to abandon her car, but he pressed her to go. Later, Jason showed up, changed the tire, and then drove away. Back at her office, General Hospital recaps for the November 21st episode note. Laura was crying as she shared how she considered calling the police but then hesitated. Sunny inquired if she had touched the body, and she confessed that she had checked his pulse and gotten blood on her. She wondered what her next steps should be, and Sunny reassured her that her car would be returned spotless, and Dalton would vanish. "Someone is trying to create problems for you," he cautioned. "Someone is unhappy with the outcome. Do you get what I'm saying?" Laura reflected that Ezra Andrew Kane, Cameron Matheson were displeased she had been re-elected as mayor before finally settling on Sidwell and realizing it was him. Port Charles woke up under gray clouds and a storm that matched the emotional chaos brewing across town. Friday's episode delivered raw vulnerability, buried secrets clawing their way to daylight, and a rescue that could change everything for Laura Collins. But nothing prepared viewers for the heartbreak and hope that came when Gio slipped and called Brooke Lynn mom. Gio slipped Brooke Lynn's shockover at the Quartermain mansion. A quiet morning of piano practice turned into something far more complicated for Gio and Brooke Lynn. BLQ found the young prodigy hunched over the keys, hammering out an angry staccato melody that she recognized instantly as panic disguised as discipline. "What's going on?" she asked gently. Gio tried to brush it off, but he'd been carrying too much lately, missing his adoptive mother. Adjusting to Port Charles life, and feeling the weight of expectations from every direction, the music sheet slipped from his fingers, fluttering to the ground like a white flag. BLQ picked it up, placed a hand on his shoulder, and told him softly that he didn't have to be perfect. Something in him cracked. "I know," he whispered. "I know, Mom." BLQ froze. The word hung in the air, delicate as glass. Gio's eyes widened in horror. I meant Brooklyn. She swallowed hard, caught between heartbreak and the kind of love she never expected to feel. This wasn't Bailey. This wasn't a baby she had pretended to mother. This was a teenager who had chosen her, however, accidentally. Before she could respond, Tracy barged in, demanding to know why the piano sounded like a catfight in a tin can. Gio bolted, and BLQ was left staring at the door, realizing Port Charles might have just handed her the one role she'd never imagined. A mother figure to a boy who desperately needed one. Alexis versus Chase. The evidence that doesn't add up, Pat. The PC. Chase arrived at Alexis's office, evidence file in hand, expression tight. The district attorney was expecting him. She just wasn't expecting this. "I have new evidence that ties you to Dalton's disappearance," Chase said, reluctantly. He didn't want to be here, but protocol demanded it. Alexis folded her arms. "Let me guess. Someone found another blurry photo, or maybe a coffee cup I allegedly touched." "This is more serious," he said, placing the bag on her desk. Inside sat a charred scrap of fabric, the same olive green from the coat Alexis wore the night Dalton vanished. Alexis stared at it, then burst out laughing. "Chase, that's not even my size. And unless I spontaneously combusted in the woods, you'll need better than this." Chase wasn't amused. "It was found in the barrel where Dalton's body was discovered. It's enough for the mayor's office to get nervous." Alexis stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Nervous doesn't mean guilty. Someone is planting evidence, and they're doing it sloppily." She leaned in even further. "And if you really believed I did this, you wouldn't have brought it to me privately. You'd have shown up with cuffs." He didn't deny it, because even now, he believed her, but the case was tightening like a noose. As Chase walked out, Alexis' smile faded. She called Diane immediately. "Someone wants me gone," she said, "and they're willing to use a corpse to do it." Laura's nightmare continues at the abandoned substation outside Port Charles. Laura Collins remained trapped, tied, gagged, and freezing. The night had been long, the kind that steals hope drop by drop. Her head throbbed from where she'd been struck, but her mind stayed sharp. She recognized the pattern in the kidnappers' movements, the way they whispered, the fear in their voices. They weren't professionals, they were pawns, and that made them dangerous. When one captor left, the younger one returned, face pale. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "It wasn't supposed to go this far." His remorse was real, his fear was real, but his control over the situation was non-existent. Laura's eyes softened as she tried to communicate. She'd been mayor, mother, hostage negotiator. She knew when a scared child was spiraling. But before she could reach him, a crash echoed from outside. Boots. Quiet. Intentional. Hope. Jason Morgan follows the trail meanwhile. Jason Morgan had spent the night retracing the path he believed the kidnappers took. Dante had stayed behind to coordinate with the PCPD, but Jason didn't wait. He never waited when someone needed saving, especially Laura. He found tire tracks leading into the woods. Then signs of forced entry at the old substation. When he spotted Laura's scarf snagged on a fence, his stomach clenched. He was close. Inside, Jason moved like a shadow, silent, purposeful. He heard voices, one shaking, the other demanding payment from someone on the phone, and then he heard Laura's muffled cry. Jason burst in, disarmed the older captor with one brutal strike, and shoved him to the floor. The younger one froze, hands trembling. Jason didn't waste time. He cut the ropes with his knife and lifted Laura upright. "Jason," she whispered, voice hoarse. "I knew you'd come." He steadied her. "You're safe now." But they weren't. Not yet. The older kidnapper lunged, gun in hand, but Jason fired first. A single, clean shot disarmed him, sending the weapon skittering across the floor. Sirens echoed in the distance. "Dante's close," Jason said, helping Laura to her feet. She touched his arm. "You saved my life." Jason shook his head. "You're not dead yet, Laura," he murmured, "and I'm not letting anything happen to you." Aftermath. A town on edge. Dante arrived seconds later, hauling the kidnappers away as EMTs checked Laura over. She refused a stretcher until she spoke with Jason again. "You put yourself at risk," she said. "So did you," he replied. "Now we find out who gave the orders." Because someone had. Someone who wanted Laura silenced. Someone who planted evidence against Alexis. Someone who was pulling Port Charles into a deeper, darker game. As Jason walked Laura toward the ambulance, the wind whipped through the trees, carrying the promise of a coming storm. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our GH News 24 YouTube channel for more update news.